Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming today to help us celebrate the life of James Machado and the dedication that he gave to the community of Placer. This project was funded by the Placer County Deputy Sheriff's Association, the Placer 1035, and the Placer Sheriff's Council. So if we can give a big hand, all three of those entities, for the funding of this project. I'd also like to thank my partner, Andrew Scott, who was instrumental in helping this project get done, and I greatly appreciate his help. At this time, I'd like to call up Chief Chaplain John Akers.
I need a stool. Good morning. Let me read a few things and then we'll have a word of prayer. A few thousand years ago, the writer of Proverbs made a very appropriate statement. He said, by justice, a king, or those in authority, give a country stability. It's justice that gives stability. Today we honor James Machado, a man who stood for justice, and by his actions and his sacrifice, he brought stability and safety to this community, to this county, and to the whole nation. I don't think there's anyone standing here today that would not be willing to lay down a life for someone they cared about. What makes law enforcement so different, what makes James so different, was they're willing to lay down their lives for people they don't even know. And often, they lay down their lives to keep people safe that have no respect for what they do. Pray with me. Lord, I ask that you would bless everyone here, your servants in law enforcement, who on a daily basis protect us from harm and injustice. Give them courage and strength and wisdom. Watch over them and watch over their families as they serve faithfully every day. We gather today to honor James, but in doing so, we honor all of law enforcement. When discouraged and worried, let them remember that what they do matters, that the very foundation of our way of life is dependent upon their faithful service. Help them to know there are many who appreciate their sacrifice and dedication. And now may the Lord bless you and protect you. May the Lord smile on you and be gracious to you. And may the Lord show you his favor and give you his peace. Amen.
At this time, I'd like to recognize some of the immediate family of James Machado. There's a large contingent of the Machado family here. But in particular, I'd like to mention wife Nancy and her now husband, Bill Bernhardt, son Jim Machado, daughter Joy Steele, daughter Janae Wint, brother Marty Machado, and brother Randy Machado. In addition to that, I'd like to recognize some of the special guests we have with us here today. Starting with Placer County Supervisors Kirk Euler and Jim Holmes, CEO David Bosch, Auburn City Council Member Bridget Powers, Chief Ruffcorn, Field Representative Travis Johnson representing Senator Ted Gaines. Senator Gaines' office was instrumental in pushing this through the legislative process so we could have this memorial today. So special thanks to Senator Gaines' office. Placer County District Attorney Scott Owens, Lincoln Police Chief Rex Marks, Chief Deputy Doug Lee, Sacramento PD, CHP Captain Paul Schroeder, Newcastle CHP, Sergeant Dave Brown, Gold Run CHP, retired Sheriff Don Nunes, and we have the Chief of Rockland with us today as well. That being said, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Sheriff Bonner.
Thank you, Troy and Andrew, for all the work that you've done. This special thanks to Senator Gaines' office for making this happen. So, it's a beautiful day. And I love the Machado family, and they go way back. So I have the great fortune to be able to just say a few words, and that's it. That's what I came up with. I sat down at my desk, and It's hard. It was hard. And anyway, so I go, well, now why is it hard, Ed? Is it hard because it's been so long ago? No. It's hard because it's so fresh. Jim and I worked together in a jail. I'd been here a whole 4 years and 5 months, and Jim had come down. I think we worked together almost a year in the jail. He'd come down from Lake Tahoe with his family. And I worked day shift, he worked swing shift. And the day he was murdered, I passed him in the hallway. As we did every day. You just got a quick briefing, you're on, you out, high five, and I just told him in words, I said, be safe out there. Well, what was that possible danger in Placer County? I mean, it was just a little cow county, nothing ever happened, And there's a lot of people here today, and it's so good to see all of them, that worked with Jim, that were here at the sheriff's office and in the county at the time. And, we just went through the murder of another deputy sheriff on October 24th, and everybody here remembers exactly where they were that day. It's a sentinel moment. And it was the same in 1978. That July afternoon. I parted company with Jim, expected to see him tomorrow or the next day at work, and who would have thought? But it was one of those things that those of us that are in the audience that were here then, and those of us that are in the audience that suffered in October, it changes your world. It changes your view of what this job is and how you do it and how important it is. And we're in a world today where sometimes, somebody got shot. What did the cops do wrong? No, ladies and gentlemen, I'm preaching to the choir. There's bad people out there. There's bad people out there. And every so often, the convergence results in a tragedy, and that's what happened. But today is interesting, too, because as fresh as this is in my memory, it seems so long ago at times. And people say, well, why did it take so long? Well, the truth of the matter is, they didn't do these things back in 1978. We didn't honor peace officers the way we do today. And a lot of times, that is the naming of a section of road or an intersection, just in memory. I don't need it. I don't need it because every time I drive by this intersection, I think of Jim. I think of his sacrifice. I think of what could have been. And the thing that I remember most about Jim, and I'll just leave it at this, that he was a dedicated public servant. And again, I was, relatively new deputy sheriff. All you new relatively new deputy sheriffs know what I'm talking about. You got your own world, you got your own thing. Jim Machado was a dedicated family man. He loved his wife and his kids. I would say not more than anybody ever knew, but it was constant. How are you doing? Let me tell you about the kids. Let me tell you about Jim. And it was always in the forefront of his mind. And I thought, whatever sort of man you decide to be, whatever sort of officer you become, you should be a little like Jim Machado. You should put your family first. Do your job, be professional. And he was that. And I think about him every day. And this is just so wonderful. Out of a tragedy, but it's so wonderful that we can remind those who didn't know him, those that weren't even alive when this happened, just remind people of the sacrifice of Jim Machado. All the other officers throughout this nation that fall in the line of duty. And I couldn't be happier to be the sheriff right now on this day with this group. So thank you all for your attendance. Again, Troy, thank you so much. Andrew, thank you so much for all the work that you did and to the Senator's office and all those that were instrumental in making this happen. As our friends at the Highway Patrol said, it's not easy to navigate through Caltrans, but we are so appreciative. And I still love the Machado family, and it is good to see you, and welcome. Thank you, Troy.
Thank you, Sheriff. At this time, I'd like to ask Nancy Bernhardt to come up, and she has a few words she'd like to share with you. You can take this off if you want.
Well, I'm going to be moving pages,
Okay,
so
there you go.
thank you, sweetie.
You have to close it, please.
Good morning, everyone. I'm going to read a few notes here that I've jotted down over the last couple of weeks. And please bear with me because the tears are still there. Please let me take this opportunity to thank all of those involved in the dedication to my late husband, James Edward Machado. First, I would like to thank Sheriff Bonner. Thank you. Placer County Sheriff's Office for holding this event. I would like to thank Senator Ted Gaines for all of his hard work in the Senate and the legislature to make this possible. I would also like to thank Lieutenant Troy Minton for all your behind-the-scenes work in organizing and coordinating this gathering in the midst of another Placer County tragedy. When I heard of the loss of Deputy Michael Davis, all of the pain and memories came flooding back as if it were just yesterday. The day Jim died, I lost not only my husband, I lost my soulmate. My children lost their dad. Jim's family lost a son and a brother. The sheriff's office lost a kind, caring officer that would literally give you the shirt off of his back. The community lost a good man. To say that recovery from this loss would be easy is an untruth. I had to become mom and dad to 3 beautiful children in the blink of an eye. But by the grace of God, He brought special, God-fearing people into our lives who stood by us and guided us. With that guidance, we grew and became survivors. As you see, Jim's family has grown by leaps and bounds. He would be very proud of his 3 children, 11 grandchildren, and 3 great-granddaughters. We have moved on as he would have wanted us to. The hardest thing I had to do during this time was to learn to forgive. That doesn't mean that the hurt and the anger has totally left us, but if we want to be forgiven, we must forgive. Daily I think of Jim and the what-ifs. Where would we be now? I would like to introduce you to Jim's children, and if they would please stand as I read their names. Jim, Margaret, Justin, James, Jordan, and Joshua. Unfortunately, Mitchell, Sigourney, Aliana, McKenna, and Dakota, who is the latest addition, born on the 21st of this month, were unable to make it. Joy, Allie, Zachary, and Riley, Joy's husband Dan, and son Jacob were unable to make it. Janae, Jeff, Jessica, and Jonathan. I would also like to introduce to you folks Marty and Debbie Machado, Dr. Randy Machado and Suzette. Their children Stephanie and Jeffrey were unable to attend. I would also like to introduce you to my husband William. Willing to take on a big responsibility of raising a ready-made family, he has been my rock for many years. He's put up with a lot of tears. Like I said, unfortunately, there were a few who could not make the trip. I would also like to take this opportunity to let everyone know I will be making a donation in the name of Michael Davis to fund a memorial sign for him as well. Please, let's not forget. Don't let it happen. Life does continue. Sometimes it's hard. I would like to offer this prayer for all of our brothers and sisters in law enforcement. May the Lord bless you and keep you. May He make His face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. May the Lord shine his countenance, that means to smile, on you. May the Lord give you his peace. God bless you all. One last thing. Over the last year, our country continues to suffer the loss of so many brothers and sisters. Today, we also grieve the loss of Hayward PD's Sergeant Scott Lunger. Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy. At this time, we'll ask that everybody, including the family, move forward down to this side, to the left of the wood wall, and we'll have our honor guard presentation and the unveiling of the memorial. Uniformed personnel, attend, hunt! Order, arms!